Well, hello there. When I do that, I kind of feel like I sound like a vixen vampire temptress. Hey guys, for those of you who know who I am and watch my videos, hello. Thanks for coming by again. But this video isn't quite for you, although you're welcome to be here. I made this video for anyone who is a curious outsider of the reborn hobby. So this video is for you. And when I say curious, that could mean you are tempted to find out what the pull of this hobby is, what it's all about, or some of you who are, I don't know, turned off by it, or you're confused by it. And so that's why I'm making this video. Hopefully it comes across some of those people. I do want to give a disclaimer that if you hear some crazy loud, exuberant noises coming from my vent, that is my son upstairs recording his YouTube videos. So yeah, that's what that would be. Well, I'm making this video partly because there has always been confusion about this hobby. There has always been negative views about it. But in recent times, there have been portrayals out in media, in documentaries and things like that, that could really skew the thinking process from an outsider without really knowing what we're about. And I thought this would be kind of a fun way to lure you in and, give you ways to maybe connect with us collectors and why we collect these dolls. I do have to say it differs for everybody, and that's kind of the fun thing about it, why they collect, why they're drawn to this hobby. But I think one thing we all have in common as collectors is some foundational truths that I think honestly can be applied to anybody. So I'm going to give you a little questionnaire. So please, humor me with this, and I'd like you to honestly answer these questions as I ask them. Question 1, do you like babies? That's an easy question, and I will completely agree that sometimes the answer to that is no. I don't understand why that answer would be no, because I obviously love babies, and most of us do, right? It's innocence in its most pure form, and they're tiny, squishy humans. They're adorable. So anyway, that's my first question. If you answered yes to that question, then keep going. Question number 2 is, do you have a hobby? If you answered yes to that question, I'm curious as to what drew you to that hobby and what keeps you in. I wonder if you can connect with the excitement of the continuation of that hobby, the change of that hobby in terms of what you do to sustain it, the new kind of excitement or new innovations that come out that pertain to your hobby. Question 3 is, are you a little bit odd? I hope you answered yes to that. I think we all have a little bit of odd in us all. And I don't mean that in a bad way. We're all different. And being able to express our uniqueness is really fun. And if you can answer yes to that, keep going. You're doing great. You're actually leading towards the path of reborn collecting. Question 4, do you like having something that is all for you and only you? If you answered yes to that, you might feel similarly that you have a family and friends, people that you know, and you share common things with a lot of them. And that's great. We all like to have common interests, but isn't it special when you have something that's just for you? And that could be a hobby. That could be some time you take away. Maybe it's a particular show that you like to watch that you don't really share with anyone else. Maybe someone in your family would like watching that with you, but you enjoy just having it for you. If you can answer yes to that, you're going in the right direction. If you answered no to any of these, you're welcome to maybe scoot away, or you can just stick around and see where this goes. Question number 5. Do you like art? If you say yes to that, I hope you agree that art is very subjective, and that's part of the beauty of it. Even within this hobby, there are so many options, not only for the actual sculpture of the doll, the expressions, the facial features, the size, everything about it, just like a human being. And there's also so much subjectivity to the kind of painting that we have in this hobby. Oh, the range of styles of painting is just magnificent. And there's so many added features and like techniques that can be done. And so just like art, this is a hobby in which creativity is captured in such a way that's honestly indescribable. It really is. I mean, just look at the doll that you see before you. She's such a beauty. And she's just incredible from head to toe. But this is not only the work of one artist, it's the work of two, because there was an artist who sculpted this doll and there was an artist who painted this doll. So how lucky are we in this hobby that we have not only an art form that's tangible and we can hold it and we can change how it looks and style it differently, but we also captured the essence of two different artists' visions in one piece of art. So if you do like art, I would imagine there's a little sparkle in your eye as you hear me talk about the art in this hobby, because it is something to be delighted by. Question number 6. Do you like collecting things? Now that's tied to the hobby question, sure. Some hobbies, however, don't involve collection. For example, I'm an artist in this hobby, so I actually paint dolls and sell them. I'm also a collector, so that's kind of a unique thing. Not in this hobby though. There's a lot of collectors and artists who share that. But just, I guess, in the spectrum of any hobby or any collecting there is, it's kind of different and unique. So let's take my collecting out of it. If I were just a reborn artist, I would not be collecting these, I'd be selling them, but the art would still be considered a hobby. It's something that can be elevated with skill. It's something enjoyable. It's artistic expression, and it's fun. So I think most reborn artists will tell you that whether they collect or not, they consider painting a hobby. So that's separate from collecting, right? So do you collect things? Is there something that you love? Maybe this is like a specific toy that has a lot of variations from your childhood that you hold dear to your heart and you like collecting them. Maybe this is something a bit more unusual that you have a collection of. Maybe it's, I don't know. There's a lot of things that people can collect. So if you've ever had the tendency to collect something that you enjoy, because you can have different kinds of that thing, then you're going in the right direction. Did you hear my son say woo? Question 7. Are you a parent? Where I'm going with this is, if you're a parent or someone who's raised a child or been around a child their whole life, there's a time when they get to a certain age and you start to get to a bittersweet place because you're watching them grow and evolve into a young adult, but you very much miss when they were a baby. And you see the juxtaposition of them not needing you very much, in the same ways at least, to the time when they were really little and they needed you for everything. And they were so sweet. I mean, cute and slobbery and smiley and smelled like baby. Who doesn't love that, right? So here's the thing. If you've experienced that, what would you give if for just maybe a moment you could go back to that time? Or let's say, what would you give to capture and freeze that time so you can experience it again? Well, that's what this hobby does. So all the elements that I've kind of shared with you in the form of questions really are the foundations of what this hobby is about. And although all of us collect differently, I think those foundational truths are there for all of us. And then it kind of builds from there. You know, there's a lot of people in this hobby who haven't had children. And I think that's such an important point, because whether they chose not to or they couldn't or had some losses, they understand the joys of having a little one, even if it's interpretation, because all of us have been around babies. All of us have been around mothers of babies. And it's a beautiful thing. And so this art form captures all of that. And it invokes our imagination. It's wonderful. It takes us back to that time when our babies were little. And it also gives us this incredible, displayable, and huggable art that amazes us. It amazes us because it reminds us of the creativity of human beings. It almost furthers that childlike state, because as children, we have incredible imaginations. Anything is possible. And when we're adults, that dissipates more and more and more. But artists, they remind us of that, because look what they can do. Wow. Artists are able to capture the magnificence of human life in its most innocent form. And a lot of times it takes the hand-in-hand work of two artists to complete a doll like the one you see before you. And the versions are boundless. So this baby here has painted dark hair, and there can be a version with blonde hair that's rooted, so it's actual hair. There can be versions of babies that have birthmarks on their face, different skin tones, you name it. So it's just a fantastic hobby. And I really implore you, even after watching this, if you feel like, whatever, I'm still not into it, I'm gonna tell you what. try your hardest not to think of it as weird. And I know I used the words odd and unique earlier, but I use those sparingly, and I mean it in a really positive way. But there's nothing weird about reborn dolls. I get that you're kind of put off by how realistic they look, and you just assume that we're going around and treating it like a real baby all day long, but we're not. When you think of a child with their doll, they carry their doll everywhere, right? They talk to their doll, they do these things, and you're just kind of transferring that image onto adult collectors. We collect for very different reasons. These are collectible works of art. But have you seen collectors holding them, rocking them? Absolutely. When you find art like this that you can hold and you can style and you can manipulate to look differently, you're going to take advantage of that, you know? Also, don't assume that all of these dolls are used for something traumatic or something sad. They are helpful for that. They absolutely are. But that is a benefit to this hobby. It's not a main purpose for everyone. And for those these dolls help in that regard, it's wonderful and it's a beautiful thing. Unfortunately, the things that you've seen of our hobby that have been portrayed in the media kind of highlight those things right off the bat. And so you either feel sorry for us or you think that we're a little loony. It's just not the case. We're just art collectors with very discerning taste and an incredible imagination. And it's so much fun. So I just wanted to put this out here for anyone who's been kind of prowling around reborn videos because of something that they saw that was represented poorly on this community. And I want to remind you that if you answered yes to any of those questions in my questionnaire, you are not unlike most of us in this hobby. So there you go. I hope this brought a little bit of attention to why we collect and why it captivates us. And I hope that if you're curious about it yourself, that you give it a try. You don't have to be a doll lover. I liked dolls when I was younger, but I wasn't a doll lover. It took me to become an adult and to see a realistic, lifelike doll such as this to fall in love with the dolls, you know, the hobby. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. I hope you have a great night. To anyone who watched, whether you're a reborn collector or not, hopefully I reached some who are not. It was really kind of fun to make this, and I'm going to make a follow-up video for doll collectors, and I'm going to have a challenge for you all to help spread awareness. So stick around, have a great night, and I will see you in the next one.